I guess in a sense similar lines to what Fitzgerald was let go of. Yeah, that's probably not good. And I mean, I think once the Fitz news broke, that probably the athletic administration was like, all right, we should probably look into anything else that
Okay.
potentially is on their radar. And I'm guessing this was nothing new because the Fitzgerald news was nothing new. That had been
Right. It's been
6 months in the making, or whatever the investigation was. So, and I'm guessing the baseball deal is a similar situation. It doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. So, not a good week for Northwestern athletics, but I mean, I guess just maybe not. The baseball. Jim Foster's not as notable as Pat
Yeah.
Fitzgerald, so the news maybe isn't quite as big. But the Fitz news for sure was very surprising
Is
and very
basketball
shocking.
or any other sport next?
Let's see. I mean, I don't know. Who know? I mean, I would have never guessed that of Fitzgerald because he seemed almost like an untouchable guy. They were ready to build a statue in Evanston. Chris Collins seems kind of like a pretty grounded, pretty good. I don't know. It's tough to assess anybody's character, but we'll see. Wasn't a good week, and certainly has kind of shaken up the Big Ten landscape in baseball now and football.
I mean, they weren't great in
No.
football, as Tim was saying. It's actually a year you really want to play them because they're not great.
They were very bad last year.
But it's a private school,
Yeah.
so that has a factor in it. But also, what does this do for like recruiting or anything?
Well, there was a kid who just had transferred from Michigan, AJ Henning,
Yeah.
and I believe, or it was either him or it was a kid from the Detroit area who had committed, and whoever it was said that wasn't influencing. They're planning to stay. So I guess clearly the commitment goes past whoever it is running the program. But yeah, it'll be interesting what they do moving forward. I don't exactly know how enticing of a job Northwestern football is, anyways.
They were paying him a lot of money, but
Oh, he did a good
was
job
an
there.
alum and everything.
He was, yeah, and I mean,
So-
again, they were ready to build a statue. I mean, he did a good job there for what Northwestern football was. Can they elevate it and get a home run higher? We'll see. They're kind of tied hands behind their back with all the academic stuff that goes on there, similar to Notre Dame. So it'll be interesting. Maybe we'll get some clarity in the Big Ten Media Days in 2 weeks or so, or whatever that is.
It's about 2 weeks from now, a week and a half. Maybe. I can't remember. We were talking
close.
about it yesterday. Well, also in college football news, the University of Tennessee was fined more than $8 million over 200 infractions in their football program.
Significant.
Pretty significant.
Significant.
We were reading through this right before we started the newscast, and it said that many were, where was it? Violations related to a paid unofficial visit scheme that was used consistently by the football program over 2 years.
So, in other words, similarly to probably what goes on in most Power 5 football programs, I think Tennessee's just the one getting the example made of.
Why is that, do you think?
I don't know.
I mean,
I really
they were good?
I have no
But-
idea, but they were bad under Pruitt. They're good now with Josh
Yeah.
Heupel there, but I mean, this was kind of coming, I guess, when his tenure was kind of ending there. I'm sure the administration sensed a lot of stuff that was going on there that they would kind of foresee coming.
This also says that the NCAA found that Pruitt or his wife were involved in impermissible payments to 2 prospects who later signed with Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's most of that stuff, I'm sure. I don't want to speculate, but that goes on in a lot of places, especially now in the NIL world. But I don't know why the NCAA is choosing to make Tennessee the example of some discipline and whatnot. But yeah, pretty severe by all accounts for what the NCAA has been able to do to other programs and everything. We'll see. But I was just surprised no postseason ban for them either, which was, I guess, significant because they're a team that will be in the postseason, whether it's in the playoff or in a pretty decent bowl game.
And I mean, the $8 million, any donor.
That's
that part's like
that's
really
nothing. The $8 million fine, yeah, little slap on the wrist in that department.
Well, we're going to take a look now at some baseball, and the Tigers have released the 2024 schedule. I was just saying, there's pause. You can't tell, but that's pause.
Yeah, I was wondering what that was.
That's pause.
Oh.
Yeah, he's picking up
Okay.
the home opener. Let me rewind that really quick, just in case people didn't see it. This is on their Twitter. So Tigers present the 2024 schedule, and where is it? March 30th and 31st, 28th, against the White Sox.
Interesting. I always wonder why they do these releases so early, but it is kind of interesting because now the teams, it is full on. For their creative team, this is like a full-on project, and who can be the most creative?
Right?
I think, who was it? It was a football team who did
Tennessee
something.
Titans.
Was that the thing they did in Nashville when
Yeah.
they had, they pronounced a name wrong or
They would
whatever
show
it was
a logo, and a lot of them were the Indianapolis Colts.
and they would guess like a fan on
They
the
would
street.
guess the Cowboy.
So yeah, they would just ask a random person to guess
Yeah.
the team. Yeah. So I like it. I mean, it's a lot.
This one's very Detroit. It's showing a lot of the food,
That's
a lot
cool.
of the culture, some of the old school kind of things about Tigers baseball. But yeah, I know the Red Wings did theirs with George,
Yeah.
the unofficial mascot of the Detroit Red Wings.
It's a neat way of doing
with
it.
a Fred or Wes Anderson kind of film. But yeah, I do feel like now. I know that I think it was the Chargers when they did their schedule release, the Los Angeles Chargers. There was a QR code.
Yeah, it's
When they showed the game against the Las Vegas Raiders, and you could scan it, and it asked if you were a fan of the Las Vegas Raiders, and when you said yes, it took you to how do I get a job?
it's a full-on production.
It
and
is.
It's a troll job by the social media teams. It's cool though. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
In terms of how much it means to me in the next couple of weeks, probably nothing, because I'll
Really?
forget. I don't even know who they're playing this. I mean, Seattle, but
They're in Seattle. That was my next question. Is they're in Seattle following the All-Star break, which was in Seattle.
Yep.
The probable starter is Eduardo Rodriguez. And what
See.
do the Tigers do with that?
I mean, they should have dealt him 2 months ago. While they could have got some pretty good value from him. He came back off the IL and pitched pretty well. Actually, the story of the Tigers all season long didn't have a whole lot of run support. The bats have not shown up and still have not shown up, yet there they are. I think last time I checked, 5 games back in the American League Central?
5.5.
5.5. So it's still right there. I mean, that's kind of what they've been all season, but it seems like nobody really wants to grab that division either. So, I mean, I know Fred was talking about it on Tim's show yesterday. Even if they have a chance to make the playoffs, I mean, they're not a playoff team. They're not. But them just hanging around, if they can get healthy, they're getting a little healthier, but I just don't know offensively if they have enough to ever become remotely.
They have no big bats anymore.
No, they have not. And they're very streaky, too. So, I mean, they've pitched decently
How
well.
do you lose more than one to Oakland?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, and one of those games was a 1-0 loss, too. So they just cannot find the bats. But now would be a good series to, kind of coming out of the All-Star break. Can you get a little bit of momentum out west? We won't see the highlights tonight because that game is not, I don't think, until like 10:10 this Eastern time.
I had it up, but
Yeah,
I think
so we can't get those highlights on the air. But
you'll have to check it out Saturday morning, probably.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
it's a big series. Every series now for them is big. Try to get 2 of 3.
And then what's coming up a little bit later, I know that Fred is working on a profile of a Lansing Lugnut.
Yeah, former Michigan Wolverine, Clark Elliott.
A couple times so far this year. I'm 4-0. Me and Taylor both. We're 4-0 for Lugnuts games.
I think I'm been there 3 or 4 games. I think they've split them, so I'm 500. Yeah, we sat down with Dr. Lorenzo Guess, who's the new director of strength and conditioning for Michigan State men's basketball. That was announced yesterday. We just got back talking with him. Great guy, been in the program, football, basketball. I think he had done a little bit of tennis here and there.
Okay.
So we'll have a little stuff from him at 6 and 11, and then I'm going to go to a Lansing Common FC soccer match, 7:30.
Okay.
They've got one of 2 games at home at Lansing Eastern's football stadium today and Sunday.
And I haven't asked you this. I know Kellen was like waiting at my desk on Wednesday to ask me when I came in. Will the Red Wings be in the playoffs now that they have DeBrincat?
No. I mean, they could, but I don't think getting to Brinkett either way, just, okay, they're a playoff team.
Yeah.
They will be better, and they have a goal scorer. But, I mean, they should be closer to the playoff contention than they were this year.
Right.
I mean, they were about 4 weeks out from the postseason. They were in it, had a chance.
Yeah.
And then, things went sideways. They had a big series with Ottawa and a couple of games that they lost.
With DeBrincat?
Yes, with DeBrincat. They should be improved. There's no reason that, 4 weeks out from the postseason, they were contending last year. Now, can you take that step and build on that? I mean, that's got to be the minimum, getting back to that point at least, where you're remotely in the hunt about 3-4 weeks ago.
Right.
So we'll see.
I'm gonna be conservative and say that they will be better.
You should be.
But I do not think they will make the playoffs.
Probably not. I think the year after.
Yeah.
I think them making it this upcoming season would be an overachievement.
I think there's still a lot of teams that are being a little bit put as like kind of, I don't know, underdogs.
Sure.
People had a lot of hype over Boston last year, and look what happened.
Yeah, I think fans just want to see a steady progression of them if they're able to get back into a point. Again, 3 weeks out from the season, they're contending at least to be in the hunt for a playoff spot. I think most fans would take that. If they make the playoffs, great. I mean, you're probably a year ahead of schedule.
Well, I'm looking forward to the season, especially with some games against Columbus.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
They have, I believe, 5 former Michigan players on their roster right
they're
now.
Ann Arbor South now.
And I know the hashtag Go Blue Jackets was pretty great. But they also have a pretty familiar face behind the bench with Mike Babb.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. But that's what we have in sports this Friday. Make sure you tune in at 6 and 11 for all the latest that we can get before the Tigers game starts later tonight in Seattle.
Yeah, get your coffee.
I have some energy drinks over there. We will need it. Those West Coast games, every single sport.
They get later and later,
it's
too.
It's a killer. But it's faster now with the pitch clock.
2.5, 2:45. I'm not complaining.
At least we got that.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's what we got. We'll see you guys later. Have a good weekend.